this Fox News video where they're really trying to like what's it called, terror jacket this guy, where so basically because he's a Muslim, he's an anti-Israel candidate, and so they're obviously going to do everything they possibly can because Israel owns and operates this fucking country. Like they're going to do everything they possibly can to try and like tarnish him or whatever. But so let's see how Fox News is covering this, because, and to be honest, I think the New York Times also had like a piece where they also tried to terror jacket this guy, and it's just like rank Islamophobia, dude. It like I really honestly am a little bit surprised at how nasty and disgusting the Islamophobia has become in America. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be. It's just like I kind of thought we were past this before October 7th. And like afterwards, I'm like, nah, everybody is still just as Islamophobic as they were. It's still just as acceptable as it was back then. But anyway, let's see how Fox News is covering this guy, Hamawy, who won his New Jersey primary, and it's an incredibly blue district, so he's going to be he's essentially guaranteed to be the person who's elected into Congress.
Candidate Adam Hamawy, who hasties to a notorious, or has ties rather, excuse me, to a notorious convicted terrorist, the Blind Sheikh, won the Democratic House primary for the 12th district. New York Congressman Mike Lawler posting in reaction, quote, "How in the hell has a defense witness in the 1993 World Trade Center bombing with ties to Al-Qaeda been nominated by the Democrats to serve in Congress?"
Yeah, he also, this Adam Hamawy, by the way, is straight up a first responder to 9/11. Like, he was one of the people who was on the ground, like helping save people's lives on 9/11. Also, he's a combat medic who has been in like hundreds of conflict zones. And he's been out there, you know, saving people's lives like day in and day out. The amount of people who are alive today because of this one man, he also was in Palestine, by the way, doing the exact same thing. But the amount of people who are saved, who the lives that this man has saved is probably in the hundreds, if not thousands. Like this man is literally a hero. Like he is the closest thing to a hero that America will ever be able to, have the luxury of like having served in Congress. Like he might be the most heroic person to have ever served in Congress at this point, if I had to guess. I can't think of anybody, at least off the top of my head, who is more heroic than this person has been.
Congress. If elected in November, Congress should fully investigate his ties to terrorist organizations and determine whether he is fit to serve. Senior correspondent Eric Shawn has more on this story.
Well, too bad he was elected and you can't do anything about it.
Well, he could be the next Democrat in Congress from New Jersey, but you know his link to one of the country's most notorious radical Islamic terrorist leaders, well, that continues to shadow his candidacy. Dr. Adam Hamawy, a plastic surgeon and U.S. Army veteran, won the Democratic primary in the
and he's also a vet.
District last night.
He's a combat medic and a vet, like for the U.S. Army too, like, which is what these people usually eat up.
But you know he's got a controversial past. He admitted that in the 1990s he associated with the infamous Blind Sheikh Omar Abdelrahman, who was convicted of terrorism and seditious conspiracy in 1996. Prosecutors said it was Rahman who led the jihadi terrorist cell of Islamic militants, who in November of 1990 assassinated extremist Rabbi Meir Kahane as he spoke at a Manhattan hotel.
Wait, Kahane? This isn't. Am I okay? Wait. Who'd they say Meir Kahane? That's not like Kahane, like the Kahanis, right? That's not who I'm thinking. Am I wrong? Is writer, ordained rabbi, writer, and ultranationalist. He was the founder of the party whose influenced military. Yeah, it's Kahan. He's the fucking Kahan, dude. Am I crazy? He's the inspiration for the Ben Gavirs of this era. Here, wait. Let me read this real quick. So okay, I want to be clear. This Hamawy was apparently associated, whatever that means, with the group that assassinated Kahan, who was like quite literally like a Nazi. Like he was a Jewish Nazi in Israel. The closest thing you could find to a clan leader is my understanding of what this guy was, like the clan leader of Israel. Yeah, Kahanism. Yeah, this is literally, oh my god, dude. Yeah. Okay. Well then, if he like, I mean, I don't know what actual associations like Hamawy had with this organization. I mean, to be honest, it's probably not much. They're probably reaching for straws. However, it would be rad as hell if he was involved with this, because if this was the group that actually killed the Kahan, like that's crazy, dude. They made the world a better place. Maybe not, because obviously the backlash to killing this like white supremacist Klansman in Israel, it like inevitably led to like a little bit of a empowerment, I think, of that movement. Interesting. That's very interesting. I didn't know these interrelations existed. So that's interesting.
Assassinated extremist Rabbi Meir Kahane as he spoke at a Manhattan hotel. Then 3 years later, in 1993, the Sheikh and his cell bombed the World Trade Center to try and bring it down. But that attack killed 6 people, injured more than 1,000.
Okay, well that one's not so good. If they killed Kahan, I mean, hey, I'm not crying about that, but yeah, that one ain't no good. Trying to see what else. Yeah, Kahan was a terrorist, so like he was convicted of terrorism. Okay, yeah. Man, this is also interesting. Let me learn about this blind sheik real quick. Okay, let's see here. So he was responsible for the 1993 World Trade Center bombings. Okay. Interesting. Let me see what these ties that they're talking about are. Hamawy, Adam. Let's see. Okay, so they're saying that he lied in court to protect the blind sheik is what they're saying here. Let's see what this is from the New York Post. So obviously I'm going to take everything I read from here with a grain of salt. A former combat medic running for Congress lied under oath as a defense witness for Omar Abdel Rahman, aka the Blind Sheik, who incited the World Trade Center the World Trade Center bombing in 1993, a watchdog group claims. Incitement, I take all of that with a grain of salt too, especially when it comes to like when it comes to like they'll usually what happens when they're talking about incitement is the CIA trying to find anybody that they can like that they see as like a dissident or a radical or somebody that they're trying to put in jail, and so they'll use the term incitement very loosely. But Adam Hamawy, oh my gosh, dude, is the leading candidate, so he won. But his association with Abdul Rahman has come back to haunt him, they say. At the terrorist 1995 trial for inciting which killed 6, Hamawy was a witness for his defense. So he was a witness for his defense. He had met Abdul Rahman and 1991 in New Jersey and shared a ride with him to a conference in Detroit that year named Towards a Global Islamic Economy. When asked about the trip during the trial, Hamawy, who has never been accused of wrongdoing in relation to the bombing, testified that the subject of the conference was economics of the Middle East. When asked if he'd ever heard Abdul Rahman speak about jihad against America, he replied, "No, not against America," according to the transcript obtained by the Post. However, when shown a transcript of the speech and further prompted during questioning by a federal prosecutor, he then admitted Abdul Rahman had spoken about jihad in an Arabic term often interpreted as holy war by Americans and Westerners generally, but claimed it was taken out of context and he didn't mean jihad in specific. I mean, that seems like a big nothing burger then. So he misremembered whether the guy spoke about jihad in a speech. That seems kind of silly, but and also jihad is such an Americanized term that it doesn't really the Americanized version of jihad is not like what it actually means, like according to like Islamic culture and tradition, but that doesn't really matter to, racists. So however, in a translation from the text of Abdul Rahman's speech at the first annual conference of the Islamic Charity Project seen by the Post, he makes a number of insightful statements. The speech was entitled "The Best Way of Supporting Jihad" and include lines such as, "We must preserve our land and defend it through jihad in the path of Allah." What's wrong with that? I'm serious. What's wrong with that? We must preserve our land. That's patriotic duty to protect your country. And defend it through jihad. Yeah, I mean, and if you want to know, like the Islamic tradition of jihad was used as a resistance tool against like the Crusades and stuff. For those unaware, like that was it existed before that with various like inter-Muslim conflicts and stuff. But in general, and like pre-crusade with like initial attempts by Westerners to like infiltrate and like colonize their land, right? They did use jihad, like the term jihad, as a righteous struggle, a righteous war to like fight back against the interlopers, essentially. Like that was kind of like the origins of it. And like I said before, it's just the way it's used in America is just a scary brown person word for war, essentially. So, or resistance, honestly. In a video through of the conference by the Post, Abdul Rahman also tells attendees it would be against Islam to negotiate with the enemy, or AKA. I mean, don't we have that same philosophy in America? Don't negotiate with terrorists or whatever. Like, again, this is just so silly. Okay, the enemy, Israel, and reconciliation, sitting down, or negotiations. Islam does not approve of any of it. How can a call for peace be made in Afghanistan, for example, after the fall of 20,000 martyrs? He continued. Abdul Rahman also called on his followers to target Hosni Mubarak, the then president of Egypt. So I really don't understand what this controversy is. Like, it doesn't really sound like this guy did anything wrong. Am I wrong? Like, what did he do? He was convicted for inciting it, I guess. But how did he incite it? Sadat surrendered what Israel wanted in Camp David, and the third traitors came to the loyal dog of America and gives everything and leads the caravan of treason to give everything to Israel and behind it America. That all sounds just accurate. In court in 1995, a lawyer for the U.S. showed Hamawy a transcript and asked, "Does that refresh your recollection whether he talked about jihad for the sake of God and conquering the land of the infidels?" Like, Hamawy initially said the statement was being taken out of context, but then admitted it was a struggle in the sake of God. Yes, it was jihad. Yeah, I mean, that's just the definition of it, dude. That is straight up the definition of jihad. This is just Westerners, not, like I said, not being able to understand Islamic culture. It's just racism. Hamawy also admitted Abdul Rahman, basically, was very critical of America's foreign policy against Muslims in general. especially during the Gulf War. According to the trial transcripts, Hamawy was never charged with perjury or faced other repercussions over his testimony. Yeah, because he didn't lie. He didn't lie. He said what he remembered, and then when they said, here is what he actually said, he's like, well, I guess that is technically jihad. Yeah, sure. Like, that's what he said. Like, I don't think that that is a crime. They say, I think the voters of New Jersey have a right to know why Dr. Hamawy felt so strongly in defending a violent jihadist leader, the blind Sikh. Again, everything that dude has been spitting so far has just been facts. I don't know what he did that they claim is incitement. I'm going to be honest. They haven't given me any, like, they haven't shown me a text or like a thing that said we should destroy the World Trade Center or whatever. They haven't shown me the blind Sikh saying that. And again, I don't know anything about this guy. I'm reading about him for the first time here. So I'm curious what they're going to say is incitement. A spokesperson for Egypt-born Hamawy pointed to his long career service. At the time, the man in question was one of very few religious figures in what was then a very small Muslim community in New Jersey. Dr. Hamawy condemns that man's violent rhetoric and actions and all violence, hatred, and terrorism, and he always will. Dr. Hamawy had no contact with this person after they were arrested. I'll have to read more about the blind sheik, because I don't know how he actually got convicted here. So FBI began to investigate. Egyptian informant wearing a listening device for the FBI managed to record Abdul Rahman saying he preferred attacks be concentrated on U.S. military targets, but also stating that acts of violence against civilian targets were not illicit. So, okay. Well, I mean, there you go, I guess, if that's what they got him on. The most startling plan the government charged was to set off 5 bombs in 10 minutes, blowing up the UN, the Lincoln, and Holland tunnels. So I assume they have evidence of that, right? The George Washington Bridge and a federal building housing the FBI. Government prosecutors showed videotapes of the defendants mixing bomb ingredients in a garage before their arrest in 1993. Abdul Rahman was arrested on 24 June 1933 along with 9 of his followers. So if it's his followers that were doing this, then I understand. Then I get it. On October 1st, 1995, he was convicted of seditious conspiracy, solicitation to murder Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak, conspiracy to murder President Mubarak, solicitation to attack a U.S. military installation, and conspiracy to conduct bombings. In 1996, he was sentenced to life in solitary confinement without parole. After the September 11th attacks, he was transferred to the FMC Bootner in North Carolina. He died there at 78, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So if these were his actual followers and he was the leader and he was orchestrating these attacks, then that makes sense. That makes sense. You should lead with that. Honestly, New York Post, you should lead with that. So I know why this man actually was charged with this, because I get very confused when you talk about like his words about jihad or whatever, which have nothing to do with this. that has literally nothing to do with these actions that Wikipedia is listing. If these are accurate, where his followers like did this shit and he was in charge of it, then yes, that is obviously wrong and he should be arrested for that. Sure. Also the terror jacketing of Hamawy, God, I'm so terrible with this name. Hamawy is completely ridiculous. It sounds like to me he was just at a speech by this person who mentioned jihad, and then he testified and said that he didn't mention jihad, or he didn't remember that they mentioned jihad, and then like this all seems like a big nothing burger. But okay, there you go, people. That is that was a very long diatribe. I guess I just needed to understand more about that, like the background of this like this news story that they're trying to like used to claim that he's some like dangerous Muslim brown person or whatever. So now we have successfully, I think, learned enough to consider ourselves somewhat knowledgeable on the subject.
2 years later, the sheikh and his terrorist cell plotted to blow up New York City landmarks. Rahman was sentenced to life in prison and died behind bars 9 years ago. Turns out that Hamawy testified at the Blind Sheikh's terrorist trial as a defense witness. According to published report transcripts, while on the stand, he admitted to translating a fax for the cleric in 1993, listening to his speeches in area mosque, and helping him during a press conference. But during the campaign, Hamawy dismissed any wrongdoing.
He wasn't, preaching death and destruction all the time. And he has certain views that he spoke in certain forums, but that's not what he did every single day. And he was a blind old man that, people, volunteered when he needed, some kind of service because
By the way, I love this one piece pin that he has on his lapel. That's sick.
he couldn't take care of himself. And so that's kind of all the association is. There was nothing back then and there's nothing now.
Well, Hamawy's campaign.
So I don't know, man. I don't even understand like how tied he actually was to the acts of violence that were committed. I don't know if they were his actual supporters. I don't know if he told them to go out and do this, or if he was just a target for the FBI that they were trying to find a way to bring him down. It's really hard to tell. And I get highly skeptical about these sorts of things when it comes down to like FBI people trying to prosecute Muslims. I'm just highly skeptical, just because I know how that was done during the War on Terror years. So, okay, well, there you go, people. We got one radical terrorism supporter, I guess, in there. No, I mean, Hamawy does seem like a genuinely good candidate. I think that he's going to do great in Congress. I'm happy that he's going to be able to speak on behalf of the Palestinians whose lives he's saved, being a combat medic in some of the most, atrocious conditions. He's, like I said, quite literally a hero, an American hero, the closest thing to a hero that we will probably ever have in the halls of Congress. So good for him. Congrats. And we'll leave it at that when it comes to the Democratic primaries, or to the primaries in general.